Okay. Okay, so this gentleman in the back.
Yeah, I've noticed that Michelle, your buddy Thomas De Lorenzo, and Lou Rockwell, Thomas Paul, a lot of the Austrian economists are also heavily involved in the history. And so you wrote a history book. Thomas Paul, you know, he just wrote a book that wasn't necessarily about economics. And then De Lorenzo, of course, was basically a Lincoln scholar, I guess. But I'm just curious, how does that all tie in? How come we see that trend more with the Austrians than we do with, I mean, Kudlow is not writing a history book.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're right. Yeah, the Austrians seem to be interdisciplinary more than people in other schools. I mean, Mises himself wrote works of history and works of political science. Murray Rothbard wrote history, economics, philosophy, sociology, and I'm sure in other fields I'm not even thinking of. I wish I could, there's definitely an article in here somewhere about why that is. Like, why is it that, because I find that in general, economists are so hyper-specialized in one little area that it wouldn't even occur to them to go into some other area of economics and say, much less go into a whole other field. But I don't really know what the answer for that is. I mean, I can't speak for them, I can only speak for myself, and that is just that I just have a very low attention span. That's really what it is that I get bored easily. Like, all right, enough's enough with the progressive era, which I did my PhD dissertation on. After I graduated, I thought, I don't ever want to talk about the progressive era ever again. I want to do something else. So I've always just been, by nature, a generalist, because I know it would be in some ways great to be the world's foremost expert on the 1920s or something. But I would also be bored out of my mind, like, yeah, I'm the world's foremost expert, but I want to jump off a bridge. So I mean, I always need new things to sort of replenish my interest. I mean, if you look at the books that I have on my website, they're way all over the place. Because I mean, like, I like American history, but then I also like church history. Then I wrote a book on Catholic liturgy because I was interested, still interested in that. I just have a lot of interest. But there's got to be some sort of sociological explanation, intellectual explanation for this. But maybe I'll post it on the Lou Rockwell blog and see what everybody comes up with. And we'll try not to have it be flattering, self-serving answers like, well, we're so brilliant that we can't confine ourselves to one thing. We'll try to, give like a real answer to that. Okay, one more? Yes, sir?
Lots of people in the recent past have nominated or labeled utilities, infrastructure as the next big bubble. And it's funny to me how they can find that predating and what have you, and also about the railroads. Why our government kind of turns back on the railroads in the 70s and why they wouldn't invest more in that now, because I mean, they're digging up tracks here in rural Mississippi. It seems to be a push come to shove, that would be a vital resource.
I wonder, see, this is tricky because, I mean, with Amtrak, for example, the problem is so many of the routes, a lot of the routes don't pay for themselves. I mean, it's like, it's almost like $500 a passenger, and then it's heavily subsidized, because obviously no one would pay $500 a passenger. So, I mean, obviously, you see, this is where the economists, I don't want to say stingy mind, but where the economist's insistence on scarcity comes into play. In theory, we would all love to have access to rail. Like the other day, I was thinking I really needed rail transport from Syracuse to Pittsburgh. There's no such thing. There's no such route. In theory, we would all love to have these things, but in practice, everything comes at the expense of something else. And everything that you produce means that there's something else that you couldn't produce with those things. And the only way we can rationally assess whether we're wasting things or whether we are really putting our resources to the most urgently desired end by consumers is to pay attention to the price system. Because if a particular rail line can be supported only if the rest of the population that never uses the trains has to contribute, and you've got like $1,000 a passenger deficit, then that's the only non-arbitrary way we have of knowing that although we might like this project, at this time, at least at this time, the society is not wealthy enough to support it, because in supporting that project, we are failing to support something somewhere else in the economy that people desire more urgently. So that's much quicker. All right, well, that was two more, but I've actually got a 5-hour drive to go back home. I drove here tonight. I'm really going to try to avoid getting a hotel room. I just want to drive home, get in bed, just be out. So thank you, and if you still have a question, you know, you can email me at at tomwoods.com. There's a comment thing, and sometimes people worry, is that comment thing, like you just throw those in the trash? You can look, oh yeah, they come in as an email to me, so by all means do that. Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure.